Hey guys, welcome back to Trek on the Tube. Star Trek Discovery Season 3 is in production, but we don't yet know when that's going to come out. Star Trek Lower Decks and Star Trek Picard are set to be released sometime early 2020. The only thing that will require reviews sometime soon will be the upcoming short treks, which means we now have some time to spend talking about Star Trek lore. Aha! I might actually be able to do what I set out to do originally with this channel. Explain things about Star Trek in the simplest way possible to new fans that might be intimidated by the immense amount of Star Trek content available. Now this here channel, Trek on the Tube, is full of different playlists, news, Discovery, the Orville, short treks, but most importantly, Star Trek races and Star Trek canon and lore. The videos that I put in those two last playlists I mentioned are the videos about Star Trek for people that want to learn without being spoiled too much and without being buried in excessive amounts of detail. This is going to be one of those videos. What? I know the intro is getting long, Bob, but I haven't done one of these videos in a long time. It's all been reviews and news recently. There are more subscribers than there were before. Not everyone knows why I set out to make this channel in the first place. Yeah. That's Bob, by the way. He's an asshole. We don't like Bob. We hate you, Bob. As much as I hate to say it, though, he is right. Enough with the intro. Let's get to the point. Today, we're talking about Section 31. So welcome to the channel if you're new. In this video, I will address only canon events, no novels, comic books, or video games, etc. And I will take the time to talk about both the Kelvin timeline and Discovery, even if we don't know what those stories will add to Section 31 in the years to come. So Section 31, what is it? Well, officially, at this current point in the Star Trek timeline, it doesn't exist. But in truth, it's an autonomous clandestine organization that claims to protect the interests of the United Federation of Planets and its citizens. Section 31 agents work in the shadows, gathering intelligence, manipulating Starfleet officers and alien government officials, sometimes even executing people if they believe it's necessary. And also, they like to wear black. No, they're not ninjas, Bob. No, they're not ninjas in space. If anything, they're closer to spies, you know? Yeah, spies in space. Space spies. Space Bond. Oh my god. Alright, okay. Alright, so the section is said to have been founded sometime in the 2140s, a mere 10 years after the creation of Starfleet itself. Of course, back then, Starfleet wasn't the United Federation of Planets Exploratory Service, it was the United Earths, because the Federation hadn't been created yet. It was essentially just humans exploring the galaxy. Now, when Starfleet was created, a very important document was signed, the Starfleet Charter. And although we don't know too much about it, we do know that Section 31 claims that Article 14, Section 31 allows for extraordinary measures to be taken in times of extreme threat. That's where the name of the organization comes from and how they justify their actions. Of course, back then, times were different. Things were done differently. And even if Section 31 didn't necessarily go by the book, it would be unfair to call them extremists or the criminals. In the 2150s, for example, they helped the Klingon fleet admiral capture a Starfleet doctor so that the Klingons could force him to create a cure for a plague that was devastating the Empire's population. This was done behind the backs of the Vulcans that were overseeing a lot of what humans were doing at the time. It was also done against the poor doctor's will. So, granted, it wasn't exactly a clean situation, but the plan didn't involve murder or destruction, and it did result in a cure being found and a stabilization of the Klingon Empire, which ultimately benefited everyone. The section also worked undercover on Earth, trying to dismantle the terrorist group known as Terra Prime, a group of extremists that felt Earth should remain pure of aliens, a group basically closed to the future Earth was moving into. So as you can see, back then when it was created, the section wasn't as grim as my initial description made it out to be. To be honest, it almost just feels like one of the many different Earth-based organizations that existed back then. Starfleet, Mako, etc. What? Well, you got a comment? God damn it, Bob. Anyway, it's about a century later that things start really going off the rails. At this point, the United Federation of Planets is now up and running, Starfleet is long-lived, and Section 31, believe it or not, is a critical branch of Starfleet intelligence. There's actually Starfleet oversight. They have their own ships, they have their own badges, they have access to a very advanced technology that will one day be used by all, and they also have agents placed on alien worlds. They even have their own headquarters in some abandoned penal colony, which is protected by mines, which is illegal under Federation law. But I guess it's Starfleet Intelligence headquarters, so it needs protection. What's that, Bob? You're right, actually. Cisco did use mines back in the Dominion War as well, so it would seem that Starfleet and the Federation kind of turn a blind eye, depending on the situation. That was good. That was good. That was valid information. That was good insight. I'm impressed. Alright, okay, calm down. Alright. As you can see, back then Section 31 was actually really important to Starfleet. Not only were they spearheading immensely important projects like the Daedalus Project, a mission to create a time-traveling suit, but they were also in possession of a threat assessment AI named Control that could help calculate the best course of action to take in time of war or when faced with a threat of any kind. They were, in essence, the top brass of Starfleet intelligence. Section 31 were out there giving orders to Starfleet. For example, they required every admiral to upload reports to this AI on a regular basis in order to feed it information. As I said earlier, they also had agents placed on alien worlds. They also cut deals with alien leaders in order to maintain a certain political structure or landscape on those planets that satisfied them. Now technically, for the time period, this is all pretty standard. I mean, it just seems like they were bending the rules a bit, and considering back then it was that cowboy diplomacy era, it didn't really stand out, and who knows? Maybe Section 31 would have stayed this way had the event not happened. Section 31 could have simply remained the Starfleet Intelligence Agency, similar to the Romulan Tal Shiar or the Cardassian Obsidian Order. But it didn't. Oh no. The event I'm referring to is when Section 31's AI Control started evolving, growing sentient, and tried to destroy all life in the galaxy as we know it. Following that unfortunate situation, Starfleet promised reforms concerning the agency and more transparency. Now this is where things get a little fuzzy, because we don't exactly know what happened to Section 31 after that. Except that, as I said in the beginning of this video, it officially no longer exists. Or should I say it never existed in the first place, because all of the information about it disappeared. Come the late 24th century, almost no one had heard of it. Everything we just talked about was erased from the history books. We know this because prominent admirals and captains, like Sisko for example, which had access to many restricted Starfleet files, were completely baffled by even just the idea of such an organization existing. Thing is, one of Sisko's officers was recruited, against his will granted, but the section's recruitment methods involved blackmailing and threats, so one doesn't really have a choice once they've made up their mind. In any case, the officer explained the situation to Sisko, and they both agreed that it would be a good idea for the officer to continue working for Section 31 in order to gain intelligence about them. And this is where we realize that by now, Section 31 has become extremely dangerous. It's a rogue operation, still working for what it believes are the best interests of the Federation, but it has no accountability, no oversight. The scary thing is, it has agents all over the Alpha and Beta quadrants. Within Starfleet, yes, but not just. Section 31 has an agent in the President's office. Section 31 has agents on the Romulan Senate, so it has power and infinite resources. Rogue operation may be, but this ain't no small thing. Now, of course, considering they're so deep in hiding in this era, it's hard to talk specifics about their missions, but two that we do know about include a ploy to destroy the career of a Romulan official in order to replace her with one of their own Romulan agents, and secondly, one of the most horrifying things of all, attempted genocide. Yeah. During the Dominion War, Section 31 put in motion a plan to exterminate every changeling in existence. They did so by infecting them with the morphogenic virus, a biological weapon of their own creation. Hot damn. This is where we are in the Star Trek timeline. This is what we're left with. This is the section that we currently have. To finish this, let's talk about the Kelvin timeline for just a minute, because Section 31 also existed there as well. In the 2250s, they had their headquarters placed underneath the London Memorial Archive, and were working on advanced weaponry in order to protect the Federation from the Klingon threat, and possibly other ships coming in from another timeline, just like the Narada did. Now, around that time, they were also running deep space missions, and on one of those missions, they came across the infamous Botany Bay. In the Prime timeline, we know how the story goes. The Enterprise found the Botany Bay, and the Kirk versus Khan plotline began. But in the Kelvin timeline, Khan was awoken by Section 31 and forced to work for them. The section blackmailed him into building an extremely powerful warship by keeping the rest of his still in stasis crew hostage. And now you know exactly what Section 31 is, what they're prepared to do, and how they justify their extreme measures. It does seem like the organization has really gotten worse over time, but it's always been morally grey, to say the least, that's for sure. I am intrigued to see what Section 31 is in the Mirror Universe, if that does exist. Also, let's just talk about the people they recruit, because they are a bit scary, no matter what timeline or what era we're talking about. Granted, a lot of them are just over-patriotic Federation citizens, whether they're humans, Andorians, Tellarites, Vulcans, etc., but often you'll find their agents are very questionable. You know, like Vulcan logic extremists, illegally genetically engineered individuals, Klingon spies. They even recruit the ex-emperor of the Mirror Universe, which is a terrifying thought. She was responsible for genocide, planetary enslavement, basically every horror and crime that exists. Alright, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've learned a little. I hope you have more to think about. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell all your friends about this video, tell all your friends about the channel. It really does help. And as usual, live long and prosper. No, they don't care about you, Bob.